Hello everybody, and welcome to another sort of split discussion slash list video about the Spiel des Jahres awards. Last time I was here, I talked about the sort of original Spiel des Jahres award, and this time we're going to be talking about Kennerspiel. So for those of you who are unfamiliar with the awards, this is probably the most coveted award in board gaming that is granted to essentially 3 games per year in 3 different categories. So you have the Spiel des Jahres, which is for sort of general good games that are family friendly, relatively easy to play, but still have some kind of strategic element to them. You have the Kennerspiel des Jahres, which is designed for games that are a little bit more intense, a little bit meatier, deeper, and all of that kind of thing. And then you have the Kennerspiel des Jahres awards, which are designed for kid-friendly games, ones that are really designed for younger children to play, very fast, very easy, but still fun, essentially. So last time, as I mentioned, I talked about the sort of main category. Today we're going to talk about Kennerspiel. We're going to talk about these sort of meatier games, and I'm really excited to kind of dive into it. So that said, as always, let me know what your personal thoughts are in the comments below. We've got 3 nominees that we're going to be talking about, but beyond that, there are also other games that were considered, and they are announced as having been considered for the award and all this kind of stuff. So certainly let me know what your thoughts are below. Do you think anybody got snubbed or anything along those lines? I would love to hear anything that you all think of. But that said, we are going to start talking about the main ones. So the first one I'm going to talk about is one that I unfortunately have not played, but I would really love to, and that is Cryptid. So Cryptid is a game that is about these semi-mythological, fantastical creatures like Bigfoot, the Loch Ness Monster, and stuff like that, where you have the so-called, what is it? I don't even remember what it is, but it's like a weird bend on zoology. So that's said, the idea is that every player is given a card with a clue information on it that you can use to try and figure out what's going on and where the monster is. And the idea is that you're trying to get information from your opponents while at the same time not trying to reveal too much. It's kind of a combination of Spyfall and Incómodos Invitados, or awkward guests, and things like Shadow Hunters, Resistance, and kind of stuff along those lines. I guess more the Avalon than the original Resistance. But that's not necessarily here nor there. Cryptid, like I said, I have not played, but seems really interesting because in addition to this primary mechanic of having deception and social deduction and interaction, you also have a more formalized board game component, which you normally don't see in this type of game. And so I'm really excited to try it out. I have read about it and stuff. It does definitely seem like the type of game that I would really love. Moving right along, the next one that we're going to talk about today is Living Forest. For anybody who has played indie PC games especially, you're probably familiar with Oni and the Blind Forest. This has a very similar thematic bend to it, where the idea is that you've got kind of the spirits of the forest helping you out to try and keep the forest alive and make sure that everything is okay and all of that kind of thing. Having this sort of conservationalist idea and stuff like that has become relatively common, or surprisingly common. We see it in things like Reef, Cascadia, and all sorts of other different stuff like that. Don't get me wrong, it's not a bad thing, but it just seems like this is a well that people have discovered and are going to very heavily now. And it's not that it's getting annoying or boring, but it just seems kind of like shooting fish in a barrel, which incidentally you shouldn't do due to conservation efforts. But that said, moving right along, the last one on the list is the one that I am super excited by, and that is Dune Imperium. This is the last nominee for the Kennerspiel des Jahres award for this year. This is a wonderful game. I am a huge fan of Dune as a book series, as well as the newer movie, I should say, I liked. And then of course we have the original game, the new remake of the game, and all that kind of stuff. Now there are a lot of Dune sort of spin-off games that are out there now. Dune Imperium is a great meaty game that has things like worker placement, deck building, all sorts of different stuff kind of melded into one, somewhat reminiscent of Mage Knight, where you've got a lot of different mechanics that are coming together to make one cohesive game. And I really love it. I personally really hope that this is going to be the winner. But that said, there are a decent number of other games out there that were nominated. So most notably was Ark Nova. This is one that I talked about in one of my videos of upcoming and recently released games that I'm personally really excited about and still would really like to see as well. There's also the Rise of an Empire and Witchstone. So I talked a bit about Rise of an Empire, but Witchstone I had not talked about, and I'm not super familiar with it. But for me personally, when it comes to the Spiel des Jahres awards as a whole, I tend to gravitate more towards the Kennerspiel nominees as well as games itself, because you can go see my other video where I talk about the original ones. But that said, that's enough of the rambling for me. Again, I'm personally very hopeful for Dune Imperium to win. I will say very quickly that the announcement for Kennerspiel is going to come to us in July. I believe it's like mid-late July, somewhere around there. So not super far away. I'm really excited to see what happens. There's plenty of discussion to go around with it. And of course, as I mentioned before, please put any and all thoughts in the comments below, because you know I love to hear it all. And if you haven't done so already, please take a look at my social media pages where you can interact with myself and my channel in a bunch of really cool ways. But that said, thanks so much for watching. Hope that you enjoyed the video, and I will see you next time.